Welcome back, Lake listeners. Thank you for coming back for more of Season 4 with Grow, Thrive, Inspire podcast. Today, we're excited to have another Community Spotlight episode highlighting an amazing business here at Lake of the Ozarks. This business was founded in 1949 and has been here to do a lot of printing, take care of a lot of publication needs. They are just rocking it. So, I have one of my very good friends here with me, the Vice President of Sales and Business Development, Mr. Randy Wilson. Randy, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about you and all that Lake Printing has to offer.
Hey, Kaylen, thanks for the opportunity. We're really glad to be here, and we've certainly enjoyed our relationship with Remax, Lake of the Ozarks, and the business that you've brought us. And working with you guys. You have an amazing group, and so thank you for having us.
Of course. So, Randy, I just wanted to start with you just telling our listeners a little bit more about yourself and kind of where you found the passion to do what you do.
We moved here in 2018.
Okay.
My wife, Molly, who we've been married for 36 years. We have 3 kids. We lived in Omaha for 28 years, and she came home one day and said, hey, let's move to the lake.
Wow.
And we had a lake house, and so we did. And I'm supposed to be semi-retired, so I did some odd jobs around the lake. But then I met Gary Lorenz, who's president and owner of Lake Printing at the golf course.
Oh, okay.
And I said, if you ever need a part-time salesman, give me a call. Well, he did. And that has grown now into my current position of vice president, and so I'm excited about that. I've been in sales for over 42 years. I'm an old man. I'm now on Medicare officially.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. But I started out selling men's clothing in a clothing store in Burlington, Iowa. My first job out of college was Burroughs Corporation, which is a large computer company at the time.
Oh, okay.
Then Molly and I moved to Cincinnati and worked for NCR and Hewlett-Packard, selling high-end computer systems and networks.
Oh, wow.
But then we moved to Omaha, and for 28 years we lived there, and I developed for one of the largest engineering firms there, their marketing and business development department, and grew it to where we had national offices. And
wow.
so I've always had a passion in meeting people, listening to what they need to have done, figuring out solutions to satisfy their needs, and met some great people along the way, continue to meet great people like you.
Oh, thank you.
And Jason and all those guys. So, yeah, it's just I've always been a people person. So
I love it. I love it. It sounds like you have a lot of history that led you to where you're at with like printing and, just rocking and rolling over there with your position. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So switching to Lake Printing for a minute, you have mentioned that you are a full-service printing company that can print business cards to very large metal signs to most everything in between. So what are some of your most popular products that you guys offer?
Well, that's an interesting question because it depends on the business. If you're a business that requires going to shows, like the boat show or an industry show, you need sometimes very unique products. You need giveaways as far as pins, hats, shirts, things like that.
Like swag type stuff.
Swag type stuff. But you also need rack cards and brochures. But we also have the ability to design the actual booth that you might be incorporating with. Now, some of this work, we do 98% of the work that we provide in-house at our location on 54. But the other 2%, we have strategic relationships with companies where, for example, we would provide the artwork for the booth, but somebody else actually constructs the booth.
Oh, neat.
But the advantage to the client is that we're in control, so the buck stops with us. They're not having to work with various companies to come up with one solution for a particular show. So we can do unique things like that. We can do very large signs. We have equipment in our facility that allows us to print on any material up to 5 foot by 10 foot.
Wow.
So we can do metal signs. We can do acrylics.
Didn't you have some glass as well?
Yeah, but it's actually an acrylic.
Oh, acrylic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I will say glass is the only thing we can't print on, and I haven't figured out why. But the acrylics look like glass.
Yeah.
And really make whatever you're showing on a wall pop. So people like that. We also have the ability to, if we were to take a picture of you golfing, we could then make that 6 to 8 foot tall, we could outline you and have that stand in a corner.
Oh, neat. So like a life-size version.
Yeah, a life-size version of you.
Oh, wow.
Golf.
That'd be
That's
cool.
kind of scary.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the needs. Some companies only need business cards. They really don't need brochures and pamphlets. Some people, that's what they need. If you look at the Boats magazine that is around the lake, we print that. That's printed on a very large press.
Really?
Yeah, we're very unique in that we have all those capabilities in-house.
Wow, that is really cool. Do you guys have like a certain special niche or anything that you would consider a niche?
I think here at the lake, I wouldn't necessarily call it a niche, but we're able to provide services to our clients that if they work with another printer, that printer may have to farm it out to an organization that can do what the customer needs. For example, the 5 by 10 foot metal signs. There's no one else here at the lake that really has the capability to print on those materials. And also we have a machine then that can route out, cut out, make holes, and do different things to it. There are companies that make signs, but they're smaller, so they don't necessarily have the breadth of what we do. If somebody wants to print the Boats magazine, for example, we're able to do that in-house on our Komori press. It prints up to 40 inches wide. Another organization that might have that would have to go to another city to find a printer that might have that press to be able to print that. So we're able to do those things in-house. We're able to control the quality. The clients can come down and do press proofs if they want, stand right by the presses we're printing to make sure the colors are correct.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's nice to offer that to clients so they feel like they kind of have that, control as it's going and then not be disappointed when it's done.
Right. And we like our clients to be involved because it's their product that's representing their company. So we want it to be exactly the way we want it. And so we pride ourselves in trying to provide a very high quality product.
Well, that is really neat. Right now, speaking of products, I know, I had got the pleasure to tour your facility with you, and thank you for that because it went on and on and on. I mean, that building never ended, and it was really cool to see all of that equipment, especially with a person like me who I have never had experience in the printing field. So that was really interesting. Some of the products that you showed me though were really cool. So what would be some of like your favorite ones that you've done this past year? Like I know you had those big flags that were really cool. I'm trying to think of some other ones.
You'll see the flags that are outside businesses. They can be from 7.5 foot to 15 foot tall. They can simply have words on it that says food or deli or open. But we can also do some really cool graphics like for Just Grow Mo. If you look at the flag that they have at their Lebanon store, we actually took pictures of the product bags that they have that have really cool graphics of gorillas and tigers, and we incorporated that into the design of the flags.
It was like a jungle theme almost. It was really cool.
It was
eye-catching even.
I think one of my most interesting ones was a lady called me and her parents were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, neat.
And she had their wedding picture.
Aw.
So we made that 8 foot tall, 7 foot tall, and then routed out the edges and made a stand for it. And so when they had their celebration party for the anniversary, that was the centerpiece.
That's so neat.
So all the grandkids and stuff would go up and have pictures taken next to it. And so it's fun doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I can imagine like throwing an extra flair into something that's already a special occasion. Yeah. That's really neat. What would help your business right now? I know, for the past several decades, there's probably a lot of talk about, the processing of paper and going digital and things like that. Are you guys seeing any of that? Or?
Yeah, we have a huge digital department. I think the one thing that would help us most right now is, and many companies are facing this in the United States and actually the world, is supply of paper and the skyrocketing prices of commodities. For example, paper that we might have paid $100 for 1,000 sheets 8 months ago is now $140.
Wow.
1,000 sheets. And you might think, well, that's not that bad. But we just ran a publication for a client that was 100,000 sheets.
Right.
So that's $4,000.
Yeah, it adds up.
That it does. And also, supply of paper is getting difficult.
Okay.
We have really good strategic relationships with our suppliers where they have inventory on their floor specifically for late printing. So it has not hit us as hard as some, but
it could.
It could.
Yeah.
And so we're working very hard to make sure that doesn't happen, because if we don't have paper,
yeah,
we can't print.
Well, that can be a worrisome thing. I definitely don't see it just abruptly, being tomorrow kind of problem, but it is something to pay attention to.
It is, and we're cognizant of that, and we're trying to make the right decisions for inventory and buying ahead and things like that. So,
So getting back to your building for a second, again, you were nice enough to let me tour it with you. Do you see any expansion continuing to happen for like printing, as far as maybe additional equipment or more types of equipment that would allow you to do other printing in the future?
We're always looking to improve efficiencies and provide new capabilities. For example, in the fall of last year, we bought 3 brand new Ricoh digital printers.
Oh, okay.
They expanded our capability, allows us to do some things that we weren't able to do before. The equipment we had was getting dated. We were having a few more maintenance issues, those type things.
Okay.
3 years ago, we bought the HP 4000, which is a flatbed printer that allows us to print these very large items.
Was that one in that room that was like huge?
That was in the climately controlled room.
That was cool.
It is. At the time we bought that, we were the 7th company in the nation to have that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's things that we can add to that machine. We bought the Colex. So we're always looking to improve things. Right now, we're pretty good where we're at. I mean, there's some things we're going to get next year, but it's really expansion of capabilities versus expansion of equipment, and adding on to things. So.
One thing that I was curious about that I meant to ask you while we were touring your facility was, how do you guys combat any like copywriting issues when people come and bring you designs? Do you have to worry about stuff like that, or I don't know exactly what that looks like?
We're cognizant of it, and we make sure that the clients are. Typically, the clients will provide us the artwork, and it's either artwork they've created on their own, or a lot of companies will have design firms, advertising firms, marketing firms that will design all their artwork, and then we take that artwork and then print it. So we have to be very careful, though. We'll have people that come in. I'd love a Kansas City Chiefs banner or the Royals.
Yeah.
And we can't do that. We can't do that. That's definitely a no-no.
Yeah, because it's infringement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, not that we can't print that stuff, but we don't have the licensing rights to do that stuff.
Right.
And it's very expensive, and there's lots of people that do that already. So
yeah.
So we're always cognizant of that.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That was just like I said, a question that sparked my head. But
well, and then any artwork we create for you, we have in-house designers, and you may come to us and say, I have this idea for this logo. Well, we create that logo. That logo becomes yours.
Okay.
So because we create it, there's no copyright infringements or anything to worry about.
Well, that's good. And you guys do logo creation and maybe some different design creation.
Absolutely.
That's neat.
If you've ever seen the Shepherd's Knife book, they sell all kind of knives. We design their publication every year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can do all that in-house. So if a client wants something but they have no artistic ability or capabilities to be able to do it, we can create it for them.
Wow, that's super cool. So speaking of clientele, if our listeners were interested in getting a design or doing some printing, what would be the best way to start that process with you?
I guess give us a call.
Yeah.
There's a couple ways they can do that. They can call us directly. We have a web page where you can request a quote.
Oh, okay.
For no charge.
What is that website? Is it lakeprinting.com?
Lakeprinting.com.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty original. But yeah, and then we'll schedule an appointment. Either have them come in, or we'll go to them, talk about what it is they're wanting, talk about budgets, timelines. Do you have the artwork? Do we need to provide the artwork? And typically it's a pretty quick turnaround for us once we have the information to be able to give them a proposal and
One thing that I really liked about some of your product abilities was what we talked about, and your ability to create like a package option as well. If you're ordering, business cards and letterhead and,
Right.
Several things that kind of go together. So I do love the fact that you guys are able to kind of package different products together with pricing as well.
We can, and particularly for Remax.
Yeah.
When you hire a new agent, they're going to need certain things. They're going to need some yard signs. They might need a shirt. They might want a hat, the name tag, business cards, certain handouts. So I'm enjoying working with you, even though I need to get back to you on some things.
No, that's okay. Not to throw in a reminder, Randy.
But you did a nice job of it. Is to provide that package, and again, 98% of that stuff we will handle internally. But like the shirts or the hats, we have excellent contacts for that. But again, you're just dealing with like printing on all of that.
Well, and to touch on the shirts and hats too, you were showing me that when I was there, and how you can get different quality. You can get more of an upscale, like an Under Armour, Nike brand, and then it can go all the way down to a lower scale, which I thought was really interesting because it did save on cost. That I can't remember exactly what that what your partnership was with doing that, the company, but it was a really neat option.
Yeah, because not everybody needs a Nike.
Right.
And if they're in an environment where they're climbing on roofs and things like that, but they want the look of a polo shirt, we can give them that, but at a lower price point.
Especially the more you order, the more it goes down. Okay, couple more questions.
All right.
What has you excited in 2022 with the respect of lake printing?
Well, that's an interesting question because we have a new management team at Lake Printing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dave Pratt, who was the operations manager, is now vice president of operations.
Oh, good for Dave.
Yes, and I moved up to my current position. So we're working very closely with Gary Lorenz to refocus Lake Printing for the future.
Oh, yay.
And one of those things is I just hired 2 new sales reps, one for here at the lake, and then we're going to stretch our territory a little more into northern Missouri, and Nikki's going to be located between Jefferson City and Columbia.
Wonderful.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
We're coming up with new marketing ideas for them to take into the field. We have a great story. You can always improve in how you tell the story. And so we've been working very hard the last 2 months in putting that story together, putting the plan together. Dave's done some great things in the efficiencies of the plant, being able to turn product around quicker. The morale of our company is phenomenal.
That's awesome.
And in fact, Gary said it's probably the best he's ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And it's because we're just working as a team, and we're all involved in each other and striving for that single goal.
Well, and creating that stronger culture, I know, is not easy to do sometimes. So the ability to have somebody like him come back and say that you've done that, that's huge.
It is. Because he's owned the company. Lake Printing started in 1949. Gary's owned it for the last 18 years.
Oh, okay.
Gary's been in printing for his whole life.
Wow.
And so for him to say that, it makes Dave and I feel good, and all the hard work everybody's putting into it makes us feel good.
Well, I can personally attest that when we were walking around that day on that tour, everybody was so friendly. And I was actually kind of surprised because there was like I said, the building just went on. And every time I turned a corner, we'd run into another employee designing something or printing something. And they were just so eager to show what they were doing and be really friendly and approachable. I loved that aspect.
There's a lot of pride in what we do, and they like to share that. And it's interesting you talk about the building. We've given tours where people said, I've driven by this building for 20 years, and I had no idea what was inside it.
That's exactly how I felt when I left, because I had always known the location, because, when you live here like we do, we drive by it all the time. So I always knew where you guys were, but I had no idea, walking past that original entrance, what was back there. I mean, It was massive.
It's fun.
Yeah. One thing I did want to touch on before I ask you my last question was, you made me think of something else, but when you talk about that expansion into like Jeff City, Columbia, with those future plans, you have the ability to print something for somebody that may not live here, or a client, big business, and be able to mail that as well, correct?
Yes. We have, thank you for bringing that up as a point. You're very good at this.
Oh, thanks.
That is true. We have companies that are located in New York or Florida.
Wow.
And so they will send us files. We're able to print those. We'll send proofs back. They'll approve the proofs. But we do have a capability that's, I think, fairly significant and unique to our clients and Lake Printing. And that is, for example, for RE/MAX Lake of the Ozarks, you had a 10-month mailing campaign where each month you would send 5,000 postcards or a trifold brochure to your selected mailing list. So Christina sent us that mailing list. We take that mailing list, we run it against the United States Post Office to make sure all the addresses are accurate and good addresses, so you're not wasting postage and sending something that's never going to arrive.
Right.
And so we print the documents, we don't label them, we print the addresses on there, we take it to the post office, and RE/MAX isn't involved in that at all.
Yeah, no hassle. And I remember seeing your mailing area too. You guys have done such a great job working with the local post offices. It's almost like down to an exact science.
Well, it really is, because we will sort them by zip code because there's breaks postage-wise for things like that, and quantities. But yeah, and we can do very large items, small items.
I love it. Okay, last question, kind of fun one, and it's also a rapid fire. So think on your toes. Two of them. Okay, favorite place for service?
When we moved here, you got to have a good auto mechanic. So it's Danny's Lake Care Center across from Lowe's.
What?
He's fabulous.
I never even heard of him.
He's fabulous. His name's Ryan. He's the owner.
Oh.
I highly recommend him.
That's a good one. What was the other one? Favorite place to eat?
Yes. And I know my wife's table doesn't count because my wife's a fabulous cook.
Hey, that's a great answer, though.
Baxter's.
Baxter's.
We enjoy the food, the view, the staff is very helpful.
Yeah, you can't beat that view.
No.
It's beautiful. Well, Randy, we appreciate you coming on our show and talking about yourself and Lake Printing. We're all blessed to have you and your organization here at the Lake and helping all of us with our printing needs. We very much appreciate you. And Grow, Thrive, Inspire listeners, if you're interested in connecting with Randy, you can at randy.wilson@lakeprinting.com or visit Lake Printing's website at lakeprinting.com. To catch more of our podcast, you can find us all on the same platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's a ton of them. And also on 89.3 FM Key Radio in Osage Beach. And remember to always grow, thrive, and inspire, and we'll catch you next time.